So, we're talking about Lovecraft's The Call of Cthulhu and other stories. I've done reviews on Dagon and The Mountains of Madness. And let's just say I'm not a big fan of Lovecraft for obvious reasons. And I said, okay, let's give him another chance with one of his famous stories. And here we have Cthulhu, and I'm sad to say that yet again, I am not impressed by his writing style, by the way he presents the story, what he really does with his material, and the directions he goes in. I'm not a fan of how he tells the story. I'm not a fan of the characters. To me, there's no real atmosphere, there's no real tension, which is unfortunate. Right? He has all of the elements necessary to create a good story, and he just wastes it. And this is what I'm gonna have to say. It might be a bit scandalous, but he is on some serious nerd shit. Okay, he's on some serious nerd shit, and that takes away from the story, because this is a classic, typical Lovecraft story. Some super crazy paranormal stuff happens, and then we have this protagonist, and instead of going to the actual place and really experiencing the supernatural aspects and maybe even being invested or immersed in the lore of this supernatural element, right? In this case, being the, otherworldly gods, Lovecraft goes in a bizarre direction where his protagonists do this rigorous academic research. That's what his story is all about. Something weird happens. I'm the protagonist. I'm gonna talk about this with other people, scholars, and we're gonna exchange letters and these committees of academia, and we're gonna talk about archaeology, and we're gonna talk about mineralogy, right? I'm saying that instead of tackling the thing at hand, he goes in this roundabout way, and he just goes on about nothing for page after page after page. It is bizarre to me. Instead of really addressing the Cthulhu stuff, he goes on this, what I like to call a rant, where the protagonist exchanges letters with this other guy, and oh boy, strange things are happening around this guy's farm, but it's not interesting. It's not interesting. This guy, he gets attacked by these fucking crab creatures, and then his dogs get killed, and then he buys dogs again, and then these dogs gets killed. It's lame. It's lame. And if Lovecraft is your favorite writer, I would like to know why. Please tell me in the comments, because I really don't understand why he is such on a pedestal. Because to me, he doesn't deserve it, right? And of course, this is a bit biased because I haven't read all of his stuff, but I've read at least three major works of his, and none of them impressed me in any way, shape, or form. I mean, is he famous or acknowledged as this creator of this mythos, right? We know the Lovecraftian mythos and the Cthulhu's and what have you, but I'm just like, bro, give me Cthulhu. Stop it with this lame nerd shit. Okay, stop exchanging letters. Stop giving us all these info dumps about nothing, right? Because that's what he does. He gives these senseless, pointless info dumps instead of, oh, there's some kind of weird cult of Cthulhu over there. I'm gonna go there and see what the fuck is happening. But even when he goes there, he just talks about bullshit, right? He just talks about bullshit instead of really addressing the things at hand, right? Whenever something interesting happens, the protagonist cowers away, he runs away, even though he's armed. He never addresses the issue at hand. The protagonist never is curious or, courageous to investigate what really is going on here. He gets cowardly, he goes insane, he can't take it, he's fainting, he's nauseous, and that does not make for a good protagonist. There's no real development. His protagonists are always the same. They're these, let's call them weak dudes that are smart, but they're cowardly, right? And I'm just like, bro, get to Cthulhu already. Stop it with these bizarre descriptions of nothing, right? This is about supernatural stuff. Everything that happens in a story needs to revolve around this bizarre phenomenon. We have the cult of Cthulhu. We have fucking crab and fish people, right? We have sunken palaces of that are millions of years old in the ocean and what have you. And this guy, instead of really addressing these issues at hand, he goes on these fucking diatribes about nothing, on some nerd shit, right? And it just breaks the tension of the story. I'm like, bro, get to the point. But he never gets to the point, right? His protagonist always goes insane or almost goes insane. He can't handle the fucking shit. Let me tell you about a typical thing that happens in his stories is that his protagonists are just they're overwhelmed. They can't really handle what's really going on here. And the funny thing is that nothing really extraordinary or mind-blowing really happens. There's no reason why these protagonists would be so like weak-minded, right? It's like, oh, you're you're attacked by fish people. I get it. The first encounter is a shock, but this guy is armed, but he's jumping off of buildings, he is running, and then we find out that he is connected to this fucking fish people family. I don't fucking know, but I was losing interest time and time again, and you know, I was daydreaming sometimes while reading this because it was just so uninteresting, right? But that's just me, right? I mean, you got stories in this, like, Arthur German. You got Nyarlathotep. You got book illustrations. You got The Hound, The Festival, Him, Cold Air, The Call of Cthulhu, The Color from Outer Space, Those Who Whisper in the Dark, The Nightmare from Innsmouth, and so on, right? And I'm just like, bro, all of these stories are absolutely, without a doubt, forgettable, right? And I'm not trying to clown on Lovecraft. If he is your favorite, that's fine, but to me, he is dull, dull beyond belief. He is uptight. He is frigid, right? He only has one staple, one template, and he follows that template to a T, almost as if he cannot write in another way from another perspective, which is fine, right? I'm just so disappointed because I wanted to love Lovecraft, right? Because I don't really read a lot of horror, right? But I just wanted to be immersed in the story, and instead of finding out more about the Cthulhu and all of these fucking other gods, right? Instead of finding out all about these fucking mythologies that are up here, and the slumbering gods, and the great priest Cthulhu, and Dagon, and all of these other deities, we just meander around about nothing, about academia and letters, and oh boy, right? It's just so. I mean, what's the word to describe Lovecraft's way or style of writing, which is, it's over the top, but in an extremely bad way. It's bland. It's dull, it's a drag, it's a chore to read, right? I mean, we're dealing with a roundabout way of telling a story that doesn't really address the main plot of the story, which is bizarre, isn't it? Right? I mean, I could say more, but that's pretty much it, right? There's a lot of too many info dumps. He wastes too many pages on nothing, about nothing. His protagonist is always the same. We don't really have any secondary characters of any worth anywhere, right? And just when you think something interesting is going to happen, when you think Lovecraft is gonna deliver on something, right, with the Cthulhu myth or whatever, just when he finally starts to open up about this subject, he withdraws, he retreats immediately, and starts rambling about whatever other nerdy subject he was into at the time, right? And I don't have a problem with this, but he goes full retard. I'm not even gonna cap. He goes full retard on the nerd shit, trying to flex those big brain muscles. But it is what it is, right? I mean, I was so excited, and I was expecting, I think, a little bit too much from Lovecraft. I was disappointed, but it's fine, right? It's fine. So this was Cthulhu and other stories. I don't think I'm gonna read more of Lovecraft. And listen, maybe some people who love Lovecraft are gonna tell me, you need to read more. Listen, it's not fair for me to have to read like 20 books to fucking find out more info about the Cthulhu mythology and Dagon and what have you. I've already read three major works of his, and they just put me to sleep, right? So that's about it. Thanks for watching. This was Lovecraft. Disappointed, right? But if you didn't know, I'm a writer myself. I got a few books on Amazon. The link will be down below. If you want to read something better than Lovecraft, that will at least keep your attention, my books may be, the ticket. Thanks for watching. See ya.